Chin check music.
Big Bull London.
I call Midday, he like, what's happening, big bro? I'm like, shit, where you at? He like, on the south, at the little stupid bitch house. I'm about to break his whole neck. I told him, chill out, we might got a lick on the check. He like, I say less. I got the 40 right now, the 357, the nickel, the switches on deck. So I slid on him, I saw her right on the corner. It was like 6 in the morning, we slid on my little homie, he hit the back and got in. I'm like, shorty, what's happening? You better not be capping. He like, who ain't playing? Saw the nigga with 100 grand, it was right in his hand. I asked him how many people, he like, just him and his man. Now whole time in my head, I'm thinking I gotta be careful, cause new bear stepper, type of nigga that don't care about circumstances. He gon' blow up wherever, so bro hit his line. Swear he was reading my mind, cause I got tired of wasting time. When he picked up, look bro like I need smoke. Homie like,
yeah, for sure. This is the block. When you pull up at the door, my partner the one with the smoke.
When he hung up, new bae like, if it's 100 for real, they dying for show. That's on the nickel, cause I'm trying to cop me a pickle and ice my neck like a sickle. That's on the nation, when homie them sent the location. I knew they wasn't gon' make it, what word by shit. I had a bick with a stick, shit was about to get lit. That's when my little homie told me this nigga a bitch. He let LaFo take his blick. That's when the phone rang, told him put it on speaker so I could tell if he was tweaking. But he sounded decent, real steady with his breathing. Cameron killer season.
Where you at? I got a bustle to move, you ain't hearing 10, it's a rap. In matter of fact, just bring whatever you got, I'ma plug you and double the sack.
That's what my little homie told him, yeah, it's a bet. You know I stay with a check. When he hung up, I told my shorty it was dead. We about to step on his neck. When we hit the block, I told my shorty about the plan. You about to go meet the man. He opened the door, pull that blicky out your pants. He moved, blow it like a fan. Me and New Bay right behind you with the 357, and I got a text. That's when the phone rang, it was homie again, and he sounded upset.
Boy, you tripping. Who is them two niggas with you on the gang is about to be an issue.
That's when my little homie told him, boy, we ain't on net. We just hit and spin a check.
Yeah, whatever, just know me and my niggas scrapped and none of y'all about to get back.
That's when the plan changed, had to show him some money so he can know that we for real. I gave Lil Bro a couple racks so he could go to the door, see what it is. That when the door opened up, 2 tall niggas with dreads and diamonds in their ears. Knew one of the niggas from way back used to be with my brother when we were just kids. Then it hit me, we hit the jackpot, cause this where his mama and them live.
Boom man, hey boy, that's you and that cop.
Yeah, nigga, this me, so I hopped out, big wood in my mouth. He walked us into the couch.
Boom man, you know we go way back. I heard Rudy doing a little time.
Big facts, pussy nigga dropped a dime, but he'll be back in no time.
What you need?
I'm like, shit, a couple yings.
I'ma let you pick.
That's when Lupe popped out with his stick. Like, bitch, nigga, we ain't about to pick shit. Where's daddy? You gon' die in this bitch. Play one time, I'm shooting fire in this bitch. His partner flipped and start crying and shit.
Like, yo, I ain't trying to die for this shit.
That's when he looked at me with that fear in his eye. I'm like, yeah, nigga, don't die. I told Lil Bro, go search for the money. He came back with that look in his eye. Like, yeah, it's a hit. 100 gas with the brick. We got right up out that bitch. When we hit the corner, I told my shorty, yeah, we lit. We about to fuck up the 6. That's when the phone rang. It was homie again.
Oh, you a bitch. I'ma make sure you die over this shit, nigga. You think you just come in my house? Matter of fact, when Roosh called my line, nigga, I'm tell her what's happening, nigga. Real talk, nigga. You can't live in Wisco no more, nigga. Fuck out of Wisco.
Fuck off my line, pussy.
What's going on, man? Midday Convo, we in the building. Blooded, that was Blue London, my boy. What's going on, Blooded? How you feeling, my man? You working hard, bro? You feel me? You know what I'm saying? I hope everything going good with you. It's been a couple of days. I ain't heard from you and shit. You know what I'm saying? I know, try to get let her, you know what I'm saying, let you, you know what I'm saying, get your rest and shit. You know, I don't be on the phone like we some girl. But you my partner, you feel me? What's going on with you? But yeah, man, that was Blue London, man, doing this thing. He dope. He a dope artist, man. He from here shit. I'm trying to get this interview, man, but you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get an interview with the bro. You know what I'm saying? I know some people that know him, all the good shit. You know how that goes. You feel me? When you got to go through third parties and shit. You know what I'm saying? But we gonna make that happen, man. He done been on the debut. You know what I'm saying? He just been out here getting his, you know what I'm saying? Getting his name out there, getting this shit together. So, you know. Also, man, I got an opportunity to you know, this is on subject. I got an opportunity. He say chilling, selling exotic. Hey man, that must be real lucrative, my boy, selling that exotic cat fur, man. But yeah, man, we gonna I got some politicians, man. I got a homie of mine that's a campaign manager for a politician. So we gon' he running, you know what I'm saying, for an elected office out here. We gonna see if we can get him in the building, man. You know, just turning, man. We trying to turn this thing around over here. Trying to, I'm trying to turn this thing around. But yeah, man, I want to get into this. So last night, man, I played a little bit of the Tupac trial. Um, want to get into that today. Get into a little bit more of that, man. I want to get into a little bit more of this Tupac trial. It's actually, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, man. I sat there yesterday, man, and listened to a lot of that foolery that was going on in the. God, man, what that, bro? Yeah, but yesterday I sat there and listened to a lot of that foolery, man. And again, like I told the peoples, you know, I really ain't like I was tuned in at one point in time, but you know what I'm saying? Now it's like, you know, I done forgot a lot of this stuff, man, and a lot of this shit just crazy. But we keeping up with it today though. Let's get into it.
Investigations further, then you find out, oh, that one item that you made a note of now becomes important because the suspect touched it, or that was the murder weapon that was cleaned up and stuck over there.
And then a lot of this is just legal rhetoric and babble.
Let's shift gears a little bit here. So you're no longer a detective. You're now working with a cold case. Have you taken on any cold cases that weren't yours to begin with?
Certainly.
And what is typically the standard operating procedure when you are starting your investigation as a cold case investigator?
So you're pulling the case file, right? And it can be extensive depending on the murder, depending on the case that you're looking at, can be rather extensive. Some of the cases that we were pulling had pouches in them with VHS tapes, right? There were separate boxes that had VHS tapes in them. We probably may even know what a VHS tape. So, and we had cassette tapes, right? Actual physical cassette tapes. So we had to maintain a VHS player in homicide to be able to review those things. So we had some of the archaic methods to review evidence. We would go through the entire case file, and that would give us a starting point. As you might imagine, what we're looking for in cold case, because of the advances in technology, is do we have any trace evidence that wasn't analyzed? Do we have any fingerprints that weren't analyzed? Do we have any DNA that maybe, this precedes DNA? We looked at some cases that were before I was born. Okay, it's my 65th lap around the sun. We were looking at cases before I was even on this planet. So you go through the entire thing and you try and make these heads or tails of where the detective took that investigation to that point. Sometimes that could be difficult, especially if you're dealing with one of those Post-it people, right? You're dealing with one of the ones that are writing notes on cocktail napkins and stuff and keeping them in the case file. We'd pull little notes that were like, I have no clue how this relates to the investigation at all. Don't know if they talked to this person, didn't talk to this person. Was this a witness? Was this a secondary victim? We didn't know. So we'd have to try and track those down. And some of the cases were so old that, people that we were dealing with, they're deceased.
Did you have any success with what you did on the cold case unit?
Oh, certainly, yeah. We had closed quite a few.
So when you say closed, meaning that you were able to find out basically the information you needed, the suspect or whatever the case was?
Yes, absolutely. All the way through to an arrest and prosecution and conviction, yes.
And with regards to the success you had on the cold case, did any of those cases not involve some type of technological thing like either a trace, DNA, or fingerprints?
I think I'd say there was none come to my mind that we didn't have something that was redone and reviewed and then came to a conclusion or pointed to a specific person that we were then able to go and interview. We had one where we flew to Toledo and we got a confession on a murder that happened here in Las Vegas because that person was already doing life without there for another murder that he had committed. I don't recall that we had any physical evidence in there that we needed. He confessed to it basically. What do I have to lose? I'm already doing life without.
So he basically was in custody ready for a murder in another state and basically
Columbus,
confessed and said, hey, I'm confessing this murder in Nevada.
Correct.
So it wasn't like you found,
We did. I mean, there's, you look at some of these case files and they're definitely pointing towards a specific person, right? Every indication is that this is who you're dealing with.
Right.
And that it just you couldn't get it across the finish line, right? And like Jamie Sheldon, I brought up earlier, I know who did that murder, but it's.
Your clients dream big. Your agency builds bigger. Base 44. Builds it all.
The district attorneys are willing to take that case to trial, and you're waiting for that one more thing, right? So it just stays there waiting for that one more piece of evidence to come in. And that happened with some of the cold cases where it's like, hey, we knew who this person was. I remember one specifically where we had a guy where we knew in the gang unit who we were looking for. And then I got to homicide and then looked up case files and saw that that person had never been charged. Like, how did he never get charged? We knew who it was. And we were able to then put enough together to arrest him and get a conviction.
and the arrest was because of either DNA or fingerprints or something along those lines.
On that one, no, we had video surveillance that existed at the time on a VHS tape from a 7-Eleven. Back when we were recording them every 7 days, and so it was grainy. You're trying to get enough clear enough picture. But we were able to, and we had physical evidence at the time that existed at the time connecting him to other cases, and we were able to get a conviction on that particular case with nothing new.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I'm clear. So that was video surveillance with some other physical evidence that helped you solve that particular
Cartridge cases, yes.
Okay. All right. And then in terms of your work, the night of what happened here, and if I could just ask to switch over. Are you? Does this help a little bit here about just zoning into what's zooming into where this thing happened?
Right, that the red triangle or the red rectangle there is where the cartridge cases are located. Near the intersection, I think the closest piece of evidence was 60 feet away from Convo, and they were out in the travel lane, probably 14, 15 feet away from the south curb.
Okay, so my question is to you very specific. You mentioned a little bit ago about what potentially would be a white Cadillac traveling north on Aubrey. Can you just, you can step out, Dean, if you want, and just actually point with you can just point at the screen from over there so that Jerry can see.
So this is Cobalt.
So Flamingo, that's where it happened at y'all Flamingo and Cobalt on the Las Vegas Strip. And it still baffling to me how did nobody take pursuit when it was like 4 or 5 cars. I'm still trying to figure out how the cop pull up on the side to get them.
This light colored Cadillac occupied by 2 BMAs that went north on Audrey. So they would have to.
Hey, the moral of the story is, man, keep your fucking hands to yourself.
There's really no way for you to get from eastbound Flamingo at Cobalt to northbound Audrey without making a U-turn.
Okay, and just if you could stay there for a second. The other part here is that I'm just pointing again with my pen, and that would be the area where you found and located the bullets, the cartridge cases.
Cartridge cases, yeah, in the eastbound lane, I think the number 3 travel lane, primarily kind of straddling the lane there a little bit, right here before you get to Cobalt.
Now, if you can describe for us the street. So on that street right there, and I'm just pointing to the part of Flamingo that's I guess, west of Convo, and then before or between Aubrey and Convo, this area here. Is there a concrete divider that's in that area?
There was not a concrete divider, no. And I think now it's like those yellow plastic cones that are every few feet. Now separating it when you come up, because on eastbound Flamingo, there's two left turn lanes to go north on Cobalt, 3 travel lanes, and then a right turn lane to go south on Cobalt.
So, for instance, if cars are going to make a U-turn and turn around and follow, like say, for instance, the black BMW, right? The other cars could just basically just make a left-hand turn and go right back. They don't have to go in procession around and keep going. Fair?
Yeah, well, now they would be hitting all those yellow cones. So I don't know. I don't think back then, I think you could probably just right there. I mean, it's a violation of the law.
It is.
Yeah, you could certainly make a U-turn.
Because my understanding is those cones that you're talking about will be actually on Cobalt to prevent people, like, I guess it's like to stop traffic from merging or having too much lanes or traffic in that area. Do you recall that?
I know all the yellow cones because I took a fellow marshal to the airport yesterday, and the lady in the box actually took me north on Cobalt to pass that intersection. So I was able to see all the yellow plastic. They're permanent cones that are there, dividing the north or east and westbound traffic.
Right, but at the time, your recollection back in 1996, you don't know if there were cones up at that
I
point.
don't know, there wasn't. Yeah, I know there wasn't, and there wasn't New Jersey law. So I think the idea could just make the turn. There might have been a curb. There might have been a cement curb, but I don't see that in the photo, and I don't have an independent recollection of it.
Gotcha. So those cars are, if we're trying to envision the BMW getting shot at, and at some point it's making a U-turn, there's some discussion about rims on the vehicle being messed up. And then as it's going down, the other cars are just turn around and immediate left.
I know, because we never went to Harmon the Boulevard, never saw the entourage, the other vehicles that had gone down.
You don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Anything further, Mr. Jackman?
Briefly. I don't know if I'm retired on a Friday, but if you knew when you retired on Friday that on Monday you were going to be right back there as a cold case investigator, you wouldn't feel, or would you have felt, the need to finish that Friday before you got in the limousine?
I think I would have been okay to let it go. Yeah, that'd have been all right, and skip that part.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Has there been at least one case with you and I, in fact, where there was never an officer's report that was able to be completed?
No, Debbie Flores Narvaez.
And, is there any requirement that there be an officer's report created?
No, again, officer's report's not evidence, right? It's just kind of a guideline to go through the case file itself. There was, in the case that we're talking about, a case management form that went all the way through the investigation. So it really wasn't necessary to get to put it on a trial and get a successful
Nobody
conviction.
fuck with Tupac. The Tupac case, man. I'd have had
You mentioned as well that
play this shit now. Play it. Nobody.
You looked at, you said case files from before you were even
Yeah,
born.
most definitely hit that like button, man. He said your feet stank.
You don't know if all of the reports that were ever generated were in that file or not in that file when you get the case, correct?
I could say that there were some case files that we pulled that they weren't even in 3-ring binders anymore. They were in accordion files, and there were definitely things missing, right, over time. The frustrating part of cold cases, going to pull evidence and seeing that it had long been destroyed, wasn't even available anymore, which shouldn't happen, but it sometimes does. And so, you're trying to piece together the case even without some pieces of evidence that you think is crucial.
So despite not having maybe everything that the original detectives have, you don't just give up. You still try and solve the crime.
Exactly. Well, you go redo it, right? I mean, if there's indication, like, again, if you got a cocktail napkin with a name and a date of birth on there, but you don't know how that was involved, then if that person's still around, you go interview them. And, we ended up doing it in cold case. We ended up doing a bunch of traveling to where we would go do those interviews and sit down with people. And, they have, I mean, being a
How's your back? Record is pretty aggressive.
specific details, I'm sure in your own life you had that where something really significant hits you. You can remember what you were wearing, you can remember the smell, you can remember where people are standing. So we're able to just go back and redo that interview and then put that into the case file, even though it was missing.
You sort of said this, but in a lot of those case files, law enforcement knows what they believe to be the story. They just don't have the witnesses to present in a courtroom to establish the crime beyond a reasonable doubt.
No question. I would say, especially during my 2 years in investigation in the gang unit, also the 2 years on the RICO task force that we were involved in, we were dealing with gang-related crimes, and there were many cases where we had something happen with, we knew 50 people around, right? There were 50 people there, and you start talking to witnesses and everybody has the same statement. I heard shots, I ran, and the police stopped me for no reason, right? So you don't get that level of cooperation because people are afraid, right? People maybe think because they think gangs might be involved, they don't want to say anything, they keep it to themselves, and they live with the fact that they didn't help, right? But then with cold case, we were able to come back to some of these older cases where now that, that young gang member that might have had 7% body fat back then and was, in his prime and was scary is now an older toothless, bulldog, that's resting in the shade. So people are not afraid to now come forward and say, yeah, I was there, I saw it, I know exactly who did it, and I can prove it. So we were able to solve some cases like that, which was good.
And you even mentioned the situation where you read through the file, you're like, I know who did it. You flew to Toledo and he confessed.
Correct.
And that can happen in cold cases as well.
Yes, it does, thankfully.
Nothing further.
Mr. DeJacomo, are you moving to admit exhibits 129A through G?
I was going to have her mark them first before I offer.
Okay. Was there an objection to the admission of them?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. They will be admitted and you may mark them. Jessica. And Mr. Stan, further questions?
Sorry, I thought I was done with you before.
No worries.
So with regards to the this incident, I want to make sure I'm clear here. You thought you had a suspect. What did you do? Send him a letter and say you need to confess to this crime? I mean, how did that work out with the thing that happened in Toledo?
Oh, in Toledo?
Yeah.
We had put together enough of the case to know, with every bit of confidence that it was him, even to the point where we were able to author an arrest warrant for him. And then we were in contact with the correctional facility that he was in custody and let them know that we wanted to come out. They actually approached him to let him know that detectives from Las Vegas want to come out and speak with you. And he agreed, right? And he's sitting in custody for, serving life without for actually killing two people, a child and the child's father. And so, I think probably just for entertainment value alone, he agreed to talk to us, and we were able to come out there, sit down with him. They pulled him out of his cell, obviously, and away from the rest of the inmates. And we talked to him for a couple hours before lunch, and then we broke for lunch, and then after lunch, he told us he did.
So you put together information here in Las Vegas that was all corroborated, right? I mean, you had information, you had evidence that you're putting together, right?
Correct.
And all that evidence pointed towards this particular person.
Did it?
And then at some point you said, we just don't have enough. We would want to hear from this guy himself. And that's when you went out to Toledo to confront him on it?
I think that we would have been able to get a conviction without him telling us that he did it, but why not? I mean, if we went there and he said, pound sand, I'm not going to tell you. Like, you flew all the way out here and now I'm not going to tell you that I did it. I mean, we still would have gone forward, but it certainly, bolsters the case to have him say, yes, I did it, and this is what I did before and after, which is what he was able to do.
Right. So in the case you were developing, you had corroborating evidence here in Las Vegas,
Yes.
and this was just the final, cherry on top to actually hear him say the words that, yeah, I did it.
Agreed.
Now, the corroborating evidence you had here, though, was your investigation. I would assume that had some physical evidence, witnesses, that kind of thing to
It
it.
did.
Okay. And your testimony here right now is literally, you don't necessarily even need his confession. You could have just done it without.
Yes.
Now, in addition to that, obviously, if you didn't have those things, you suspected somebody, but you don't have DNA, you don't have fingerprints, you don't have an eyewitness, you don't have surveillance video, you don't have anything at all that would tie that person to whatever the crime you believe has occurred. That would mean at that particular point you don't have it, right?
I would agree with that.
Now, in addition to that, your testimony here is, and I want to make sure I'm clear, you were a gang person before, and those field interview cards would be helpful if you were looking into a potential crime where someone is accused of the crime. Like, look at those field interview cards, right?
Field interview cards are very valuable. I worked a bike patrol for the gang unit, and we filled out probably more FI cards, field interview cards, than a lot of the gang detectives did. That got me voluntold to test for gangs. And so, yeah, field interview cards are very, very valuable piece of information because you're contacting somebody in a non-threatening, non-arrest, non-custodial environment, and they're telling you, they're giving you information that you're able to document.
And if you could explain to the jury a little bit what a field interview card is.
So that, like I was talking about that stop that we were on before the code red was called. So we were talking to some gang members that were gathered out in a neighborhood that we were familiar with gang members that we were familiar with. And so each time they're contacted, we would do a field interview card, little small, 3x5 card. This is a rights card, but it's about just like this. It's white, and it has all of their pertinent information, name, date of birth, all, height, weight, eye color, all those things, where you're contacting them. And there's a narrative portion on the back. And, most of the gang members in that type of environment would say, yeah, hey, I'm 18th Street. I'm like, whatever, for life. I'm 18th Street for life. So you document that. That's 18th Street for life, because that's maintained in what you've heard, the gang file for a period of time until that person says, no, I'm not, I don't affiliate with them. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm away from it. And then if that stays consistent for a certain amount of time, then that person is no longer in the gang file.
Is it every time that person comes in contact with law enforcement that a new card is generated because it's a physical thing?
A new card is I always did. It documented my stop. It documented my activity. It documented our work. It documented, plus it starts the time clock every time, right? So every time that person admits, every time that person's in the company of other known gang members, and then it starts that time clock so that they stay in the gang file until that time expires. So you want the clock to continue to start over.
Okay. And just one last question, and I hate hammering the heck out of this report stuff, but in terms of the example that was given you by the state, they said, well, if you retire and then you go into cold case, you can continue on with the investigation if it's a cold case, right?
I would, yeah, definitely.
How about the
Every time you head out, you're sharing the road with other drivers, and not all of them have enough insurance or any at all. Uninsured.
To us at the time, because I left in January of 23. At the time, we didn't have anybody that was catching our cold cases specifically, so I couldn't tell you one way or the other.
Right. So you are testifying that Metro has a cold case unit, to which if you're a detective with homicide and you want to take a case with you, you could have done that, right?
Certainly.
But with regards to taking your case as a homicide detective and now working for the district attorney's office, that's not how that typically works. Right?
I wouldn't know how they function with it, because I know, we put a case file together and we submit that case. It gets approved by the DA's office, and that the district attorney may recognize certain things that need to be cleaned up or need to be followed up on that maybe wouldn't come back to the detective in homicide. Because keep in mind, if we're working a big case, we're still catching new cases. It's not, you don't catch a big case and then all of a sudden, time out. And I get to do this, work this case. You're still catching new cases. We worked one weekend in 2003 where we had 6 murders in one weekend. So you're up going into the weekend and up on rotation coming out of the weekend because all the teams caught a case.
And so, just for the jury so they understand, Metro is the police department. They do investigations.
Correct.
Once you're done with the investigation, you develop a suspect. You then submit that request to the DA's office and the district attorney's office for prosecution.
Correct.
The district attorney's office, on the other hand, do not have investigators that initiate cases to be charged, right?
I don't know how the DA's investigators run I know I had contact with them multiple times over the years because now we've involved the DA's office in what we've produced because we seek the truth. DA's office seeks justice, right? So but I know there may be some incidental things that come up that an investigator will handle rather than taking it back to the homicide detective for follow-up.
In your experience throughout law enforcement, even up to currently, have you ever seen an investigator or the Clark County District Attorney's Office be the primary officer on a case?
No.
No further questions. Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything further, Mr. DiGiacomo? No. Any questions from the jury? We do have at least one. Can I have the parties approach? Looks like we only have one. All right. Question from our jurors. There are 8 cones, but only 7 glass bottles in evidence. Was there another bullet not accounted for in the envelopes, or are there only 7 cases located were there only 7 cases located on the scene?
Good question. So the cone that was closest in the picture if you remember, I said that was a bullet fragment. So underneath that cone was just a piece of a bullet, mostly just the lead. And so the bullet fragment plus the 7 cases.
Any follow-up questions based on that, Mr. DiGiacomo?
Detective, you opened the 7 cases, correct?
Yes.
Showing you with the marked state's proposed exhibit number 130. These appear to be all the bullets and fragments that were collected by Dan Ford.
That's correct. They were also listed on the evidence inventory that I've seen a copy of. I recognize the handwriting and initial and P number for Dan Ford.
Once again, there's also a blue stripe right here. There's also a blue stripe right here, indicating that they were as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Any objections?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay. Any other questions that you have?
No.
Mr. Stamp, questions on this question? Essentially?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, perfect. All right, you are free to go.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, at this time we are going to take our lunch break. During this recess, you are admonished not to talk or converse amongst yourselves or with anyone else on any subject connected to the trial, or read, watch, or listen to any report or commentary on the trial of any person connected to this case by any medium of information, including without limitation, newspaper, television, the internet, and radio, or form or express any opinion on any subject connected to the trial until the case is submitted to you. We'll be in recess until 1:45. Please rise for the jury. So 1:45, guys. right, jury seconded. Anything we need to address outside the presence?
Hang on.
Okay. Okay, I'll go back and ask the question again. While you were there in the parking structure and you heard the commotion, people running to be south on Fairfax or backing towards the parking areas, did you recognize anybody that my concern is that may have been further north on Fairfax on a sidewalk, may have seen the shooting or heard something? Anybody that you saw?
I seen running.
Yeah.
They was standing there with me, Keyshawn Johnson, the football player,
Okay.
and Richie Bell,
The
singer.
And they were with you, or they were?
They was standing there with me. He was waiting on his
Oh, they didn't run around the corner. They were with you anyway.
They was
Oh,
they was waiting on the green fence. This green fence is for if my car came out the hill, we just drove out.
But you made a spark around the corner. You didn't recognize anybody that you might know, singer or any actor. That yeah, we saw Keyshawn and some of the pictures that were taken inside and Ricky.
Yeah, I was on pictures with him. I had on the blue jumpsuit.
You know, now that I see in person, because I had impression were like 6'2".
Tall guy.
Yeah, right. And,
Thought you were bigger.
Yeah, I did. Well, no, that's why I said, now that I'm looking at you, I think I do remember seeing you.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to not, I'll put out, did you see anybody with the stereotype considered a gangbanger dressed down and like that in the party? Okay. What about outside in the parking lot, whether either parking a car coming to or going back to your car? Your car's still over there? Okay. Not yet.
I just wanted to verify something earlier. Okay. The parking structure, you see some people running
towards you know, from there from Fairfax.
from Fairfax.
Holland,
So, and you, from there, are you in your car this time, or are you outside?
I'm outside.
Are you near your car?
So why do you care?
I care because of my family. I bring them with me to work every day.
I care about my United Healthcare members because I know what it's like to not speak the language. It's not easy.
Working for United Healthcare, I care because I want to make a difference.
My niece was diagnosed with an ultra-rare genetic disorder. I know how hard it is for families.
Health insurance is complicated, but I'm here to help. I've always been that way.
Okay. Then you were directed by as you're leaving, directed by a police officer, turn right as you're coming out onto Fairfax.
He directed every car that came on by. A tall.
Okay. You left, you're going down, did you go all the way through Wilshire Boulevard?
No, I made it right.
You made a right time, turn on Wilshire? Okay, so you're northbound Fairfax you made a right turn, so it would be eastbound then, or westbound?
Eastbound.
Eastbound. Oh, okay, that's right. Eastbound Wilshire. Okay. Then, did you go all the way down Wilshire, or what, was there another turn that you made? Did you make a left or a right? Right. Right on the Brea? Then where did you go?
To 10. Yeah. And looking along.
Over the freeway? Okay, and then went directly to Marin to go east. That's for you, Window, and Wondermine. Jerry's Deli. Okay, you were at Jerry's Deli, about what time were you there?
Yeah, down Conference Court. About,
What time did I get there?
Yeah.
Oh, it was,
I was on the,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I discussed that later. Voice tones or
Well, you and I were speaking with
That's right.
district attorneys, I think, Mr. Fall, you were there.
Probably so.
Fred and I were talking about homicide
Yeah,
investigation.
yeah.
I think you were there.
Rags, right there.
Yeah.
I'm was just searching my mind.
And your son went to elementary school with my son when you lived in Phillips Ranch.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
How?
I remember seeing you there.
That's true,
Yeah.
that's true.
You no longer live in Phillips Ranch. That was years ago. That was like
Yeah.
91 or
That's
2.
good. I still have a house there though.
Oh, you do? You rent it out? Or?
Yeah, I didn't sell it. I have some numbers.
Okay, just want, about what time do you think you got to, what time did you leave the parking structure approximately, you recall?
Oh, I was watching the watch and I'm like,
Okay, you said you arrived at the party about 11 or 11:30. You were inside the party for about an hour. And then, okay, so that would either make it 12 or 12:30. And when you left the party, so, and the driving time from there to Jerry's Deli, figure right around what, 1? About 1 o'clock, would you say?
Yeah.
1 a.m., okay.
I'll say about 1:30.
Okay. Between 1 a.m. and 1:30?
Yeah, about 1:30.
Okay, and how long were you at Jerry's Deli?
No, it's been an hour.
Okay. About 1 hour, so that would make it at this point, well, that means if you were at the deli about 1 hour, it would be 2 a.m. to 2:30.
Yeah.
Okay, now you gotta drive from the marina, where you went?
I wonder if I go in the same area.
Okay, then you dropped off,
Wonder Mike.
Wonder Mike in Compton, right?
Yeah.
And then, I'm assuming Wonder Mike and Wendell live pretty
Yeah,
close?
yeah.
Okay. Wendell in Compton. About what time would you estimate that to be? If you left Jerry's Deli?
I got home about 2:30.
Okay. 2:30. 2:30, arrive approximately.
Yeah, all you.
I won't watch that watch, though.
All the times, right.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you got home, was there anybody up, like your mom or brother or sister or girlfriend or her mom?
Her mom came open the door for me.
Okay. So Paula's mom opened the door.
Yeah.
Was she up already, or was she? You had to knock on the door.
Y'all, I don't know, blue switch.
Okay. And then
Blue is with the white, you know, the Michael Jordan jumpsuit we got, that blue one. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Okay, when she opened the door, did you talk with her? I mean, did you tell her anything about the event that happened, like Big E been shot or anything?
She's 73 years old, you know.
Oh, so,
You know.
so
Indirect music.
No,
She was the only one up at that time?
Yes.
Okay. Did you go head straight to your bedroom and go to bed?
Yes.
Did you talk to anybody between the flying in and out? Did you speak to anybody, either in person or on the phone at all?
When I left the parlor, I told her that, Vicky,
Okay. You and Paula slept in the same room together?
Yes.
Okay. So you told Paula,
say Vicky got killed. I don't know whether he got killed or not, you know.
so did you talk to anybody else besides Paula?
Yes, us two.
Okay, Wonder Mike and
We,
Weasel.
yeah, we was like, hey, that's messed up, you know.
Okay, from the time you were at the was about ready to leave the party, to the time you arrived home, the only people you talked to were Wonder Mike, Wendell, Paula's mom. You may not have said anything to Paula's mom. Okay, but then you talked to Paula. Was there anybody else that you talked to?
But before we left, Keyshawn said he was going to some other party, and I'm going home.
Okay, which party was that?
I don't know, you know.
I don't know what party that was. Did Keyshawn ask you to go to that, or?
No, he just said he was going to the party.
Which party?